Welcome to episode 1 of the Art Craft Life podcast. This podcast is about knitting, spinning, occasionally some weaving. My name is Allison, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Allie in Perth, or you can find me at my website at artcraftlife.com. I'm coming to you from rural Eastern Ontario. The nearest town to me is Perth, which is about 10 kilometers down the road, and the nearest major center is Ottawa. So, episode 1, what are we going to do here? So in terms of things to show off to you, in terms of finished objects, I don't actually have any, not this week. I do, however, have some works in progress. So the first thing I want to show you is called the Woodrunner Pullover. I showed you this, or I showed you part of this anyway, last time, and I have a little bit more done. So this is, I've got a front and a back, and I've seamed them together at the shoulders. And so what's outstanding now is I need to sew up the side seams here, and then I will pick up at the sleeve and knit my sleeves. And once that is finished, I will pick up around the neck edge and put a proper neck on it, and then that's really about all that's left to be done. This is a test knit for Erin Searl, and this particular pattern is being released as part of the Canada 150 celebrations. So some of you, the sharp-eyed amongst you, might notice that these colors are actually the colors from the Hudson Bay blanket, an absolutely iconic image throughout Canada. So hopefully next time this will be a finished object, and I'll be able to show you the finished product. The next thing I want to show you is the cowl that you saw the beginnings of last time. So I think this is going to be called Winter Shadows or Wintry Shadows. I haven't quite decided yet. The inspiration for this was sunlight shining through bare branches of trees and creating a pattern on the snow. And it actually looked a lot like this. So this is going to be released as a pattern later in the fall, I think. The yarn that I'm using is from Topsy Farms. And this is quite a heavy worsted weight yarn. And the yarn actually comes from their flock down on Amherst Island, so I do consider this to be a very local yarn. The next thing I want to show you is kind of a 3/4 finished object. You saw this is one of my socks, my Icelandic socks. Well, it's not Icelandic socks. It's, although I'm calling it Iceland Socks. The yarn is from SweetGeorgia yarns. It's a discontinued color and as well a discontinued base. It's a BFL sock yarn. And I'm calling them Iceland Socks for 2 reasons. One, the colors actually look a lot like what I saw in Iceland. And the other reason is I cast on the first sock as we were sitting in Trudeau Airport in Montreal waiting to fly out. So that was a month ago. And this is actually a stunningly long time for me to take to knit a pair of socks. So I'm actually got a bit of a move on to get these done and washed and put away. You'll see I'm a little bit old school about knitting socks. I do actually work on double points, and these are my HiyaHiya Sharps in a 2.25 millimeter, which is pretty standard for me for sock knitting. Next, well, to backtrack a little bit, last weekend was the May long weekend here in Ontario, and one of the things I did is I sat down and organized my stash. I really went through it, photographed it, cataloged it, updated the stash page on Ravelry, really just to get a sense of what I've got, where is it, and really, how much have I got? Not to put too fine a point on it, but I have enough yarn to choke a goat. I have a stunning amount of it right now, And as I was going through and cataloging this, I found a whole bunch of part balls, ends, little bits left over from other projects, so in the actual stash bins. And then I also have a drawer of yarn in the TV room, a drawer full of just the ends of balls from knitting socks. And that drawer is now so full that I can't close it. So I thought, right, I got to do something with this. And I didn't want to just pick it up and throw it out. So I went online and thought, what do you do with ends of balls of sock yarn? And a lot of people are making scrappy blankets, memory blankets. So I looked around and I found a pattern I liked and cast on for a memory blanket. Well, that's the name of it. I'm using the pattern by, you know what, I can't remember. It will be in the show notes. But it's a very simple, very, very simple pattern. You cast on, I think it's 23 stitches. You cast on 46 stitches, and then there's a double decrease in the middle for the mitering, and it makes a square. And you finish one, and you pick up the stitches along the side, and you cast on for your next, and you do the next one. And the next one. So for this, I am using just bits and pieces of yarn that I have left over. How much yarn do I have, you might ask? That much. The bag is about, maybe a third full. But that's an awful lot of yarn, scraps, ends of balls, and I'm really happy to be able to do something with it. So I'm probably going to need about 320 of these little squares, maybe more. I want something that's about 4.5 feet wide and 5.5 feet long. That's what I'm thinking right now. I may revise that as we go on. I might make it bigger. I might get partway through and say, you know what, I'm not enjoying this, and cut it off at the knees. But so far, I really like this. I like being able to do something productive with these little scraps of yarn that I have lying around. And the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of knitting projects is this. This is a Lopi that I purchased the yarn in Iceland at the Alafoss Lopi factory. The ladies there were absolutely charming and gave me a lot of help in finding a pattern that was going to be suitable for Chuck. This is for my husband, for Chuck. They gave me a lot of help finding the yarn, finding a pattern in English. And I've been really, really happy with this. This is the Alafoss Lopi yarn. You find it everywhere. In fact, I lied. It's the Lopi. It's the Let Lopi, or the Lopi Light. And I have this in about 6 different colors right now. So all the details will be on the blog. So that's what I've got in terms of knitting projects that are on the go. I had hoped to have I'm dropping stitches off Chuck's sweater here, so I'm trying to stuff it all back together. I'd hoped to have the socks done and at least something finished to show you. And it's just the way it worked out. Work was busy and it just didn't happen. And it's also May, so I'm busy trying to get my vegetable garden planted. I'm trying to get the ornamental gardens cleaned up, cleaned out, and kind of make it look like an adult lives here. In amongst all this, I've also done some spinning, and just give you a sense of what's happening here. So this is some Shetland that I've been spinning. It's a really pretty gray with little flecks of brown in it, and my goal is to make this, I haven't decided if it's going to be, just to give you a sense of how wide, how big it is. We're going to focus. Is it going to focus? I'm not sure. That's not bad. So it's fairly fine. And I haven't quite decided yet if this is going to be a 2-ply or a 3-ply. I'll sample it and see what I decide to do with it. This particular fiber is from a farm, maybe 25 kilometers from me. They're really not very far away. And the lady has a flock of Shetland sheep. And so I went to visit her shortly after New Year's. And we had a lovely chat, lovely visit. And I found out that all the money that she makes from her flock, she donates to the Shepherds of Good Hope. And so this is what I bought from her. So I've got 820 grams, and so almost a kilogram of fiber, but it's been beautifully milled. Pick this up so you can see it. Beautifully milled, and it's really, really easy to spin. So this is not going to be a part of the podcast every episode. I'll update it as we go along, but nobody wants to look at gray yarn week after week after week. This will get pretty boring pretty fast. And that's really about all I have to share with you this week. It's not a huge amount. In terms of the frequency of this podcast, I'm thinking maybe every 2 weeks, but we'll see how it goes. And if I have nothing to share, well then there's not much sense in recording. But if I have things to share, then absolutely I'll sit down and put something together and share with you what I've been doing and what's been going on. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful week, a wonderful 2 weeks, and I will see you soon. Bye.